Okay, I gotta remind myself I can talk normal, that nobody's here. And I guess she's not coming back, at least for a while. Yesterday when they called, and, this was going on my mind and going on my mind. I checked my phone a million times. I was like, ready for this, when you aren't good at setting boundaries, when it's a new thing, like, and then you also got to think, I mean, some of the people who even grew up in a house that was strong boundaries, it was their parents, and then they just turn around in the same militant way to their kids. I mean, there's a lot of, everybody's got to find the balance. Everybody's got to, pull it in. And I mean, we're living in a giant swamp. We're all the stuff that leaked out of the swamp. So, everybody's dysfunctional. Like, anybody who thinks that they are just, doing great and don't have any problems and can't improve their life and can't improve relationships, then to me, they're very trapped in ego. And it's important to recognize, there's always room for improvement. Like, I don't know. It's the whole thing to me. It's how I think. It's how I've always thought. So, I'm not going to give like great details or something, but there's still something in the storyline that is important for people to see, to recognize, like, for their own behaviors and stuff that you're dealing with, that, different ways to look at different things and stuff. So the stories are important, but, I'm not going to give details about what her struggles are and stuff. Like, that's her personal stuff. And we all have our struggles. The thing that is eye-opening to me is how someone can get so trapped. So trapped in their own head. And even when I first met her, and it was a thing that we all would talk about, that she was very quiet. She didn't talk. And I was very introverted and very quiet. Like, I stopped talking. I think I stopped talking to my parents for like, I don't know, I think seems like it was a year or something. It was a thing. I wouldn't speak to them. And I would stop and listen and then, shake my head or whatever. I just had nothing to say to him. And, and it was always just looked at like I was mad fuckery. It's so crazy. All of a sudden last night, my mom started sending me pictures of back when I was younger. And it was pictures like to send in for modeling and stuff, so it was like these wacky pictures of posing and stuff. And, she sent him to me. It's weird too, because I was looking at him, I was like, gosh, my cheeks, like, how was it that I thought I was so hideous? And it really got me thinking of like how you only see what you can see. It doesn't matter what other people think. If you feel awkward, if you feel dirty, if you feel creepy, if you feel ugly, it's all coming from inside. You cannot see what other people see. You look at it, like I could look at my face in those pictures and think, I'm pretty. I could see why, I was being chased around by all these guys. And, I could see then, but I could not see back then. I couldn't see at all. It was weird. It was weird when you get ahead of yourself and you can go and you can look back and you can see. And in one of them too, well, a bunch of them, it showed more of the top of me, and it's just like, oh my God, I liked my chest. Like, how did I get so insecure? And think like, it's a journey. And it's a fortunate journey when you get to the other side and look back and reflect back on the past and see yourself. But anyways, for her, now I'm recognizing different things. Like I keep seeing, it's all these different levels, and you don't know what people are here working on, what their like soul contract or what their whole group is doing, what lesson they're bringing and stuff. You just don't know. And that's why, to me, it's like you can't just like force people to do what you want or be in other people's business and whatnot. It's like they need to be following their flight plan, not being interfered with, the radio. Oh, go this way. No, don't go that way. Go around that way, And so, They got to, listen to themselves. It's kind of like they got to figure out how to become comfortable on autopilot, where they don't need interference by other people telling them how to do things. And you can see how that represents in people's toxic relationships, because it becomes this dependency of trying to please people so that you will be liked. And then you will become resentful. You're always doing things you don't want to do. And you start holding that. So it becomes a toxic behavior. And it has, it starts out as being like, oh, yeah, she's so nice. You can call her. She always is helpful. She'll always help you. She'll do anything she can to help you. And, but it leads to a lot of toxic things. It's not a way to be, just there for everybody else to draw from. You got to become secure in yourself and what do you need. And so it's important to recognize yourself, not to just become something for everyone else to consume. Hold on, my throat hurts. And so, yeah, yesterday it was so weird outside. It was so fucking weird outside. It was so creepy. It would almost look like the sky and the surroundings were silver. A lot of times it'll look like sepia. And yesterday when I go outside, it was like, it looks like it's silver. It was really, really fogginess in again. And, let's see, when I had driven into town, there was another weird thing where I was like, the sky is coming down the sides. It's not above us. Even the sun, like I've said, the sun goes around. It does not go anywhere up towards the top. It doesn't go above any of the trees. It's like in the middle. It goes around us. It's like, I don't know how the world really is. Like, it just is weird. Like, to me, it always seems like the firmament or something is lower over here. Like some people have it up higher. Like I'm in a lower part. That's what it always seems like. And it's a weird kind of atmosphere. And so I don't know, we'd have to be able to zoom way out and see. But anyways, I always just pick up on it's weird. And now it's raining. So I feel like we're getting our dose of chemicals and Stella. Because woke up a couple times a night, and I know she's aching, and my whole body was aching so bad all day yesterday. Oh my gosh. When I was trying to sleep, it's like I couldn't get comfortable. And when I go in my bedroom, because I've tried a couple times, it is so fucking loud. It is like I am in a portal where I can pick up on so much fucking noise. I think the frequency is the noise that we can like semi hear. Like I think I always hear the frequency all the time is because of, I can tune into this other world or something. Like I've always got an ear in it or something. And, but when I go in there, it's like so much. It's like, it's so intense. And it's so loud. And even the other day I went in there to lay down, and it was all totally dark in my room, and I shut my eyes, and there was like a light came into my head. It was so bright, and it was like I was looking through my eyes, and like I don't know what the like things are overlapping. Things aren't like how we think they are. And it's trippy when you start opening your mind up to what it really is and whatnot. But anyways, there's a bunch of things I wanted to talk about. So let me think and get back on track of what I was saying. Okay, so with her is, she had herself very closed off. So when she had come back, she seemed to be coming with this good attitude. It seemed like, the first time she was here, she was so closed off, where she just wanted to give up on life. And so I was really excited for her when she wanted to go on an adventure. I was like totally promoting, yes, go with your friends, go to Oklahoma, go experience life, thinking something's going to kick her into gear and get her to get excited about being young and being able to go out and experience life. And so she went, but then, she's hanging out with kids that were naughty and started fighting with the adults. They're sick adult. Like, I don't even know all the drama that was going on. And so then It even got to the point of police got involved and stuff, so they left and came back. But she went back with the same people and went and stayed at a different parent's house. Like, I don't know what some of these parents' houses are like. You know, and that can be another thing why kids think like they can act however, you know, if they're like couch surfing kids or something. And, you know, it's not like, I mean, what else are they going to do? Like, seriously. And they removed from their house, 8, 10 years old, go in the system, have to bounce around here, bounce around there, go to other family members' houses sometimes, but the same toxic shit is generational. So it's like same kind of bullshit and drama goes on. And then there's going back to court, and then you know, and there's schools disrupted. They're constantly going to court and having problems and having to move here and move there. So there's school, and I totally relate to some of these things. Like my dad moving to schools all the time. We have to go in and make new friends all the time as a kid. It's hard, and it's very uncomfortable. And you know, I mean, it became my life, but I know how hard it is, and so I know. And she's so, I was insecure too, you know, but I was friendly insecure. Some people get very guarded and very, you know, just super guarded, like, or kind of paranoid. Think, you know, what are you trying to talk to them for? What are you trying to get from them? Like, I've really realized people's perspective, how they look at things. Like, if you are approaching the world in a guarded fashion, like, what are you trying to get from me? What do you want from me? You are not seeing so much. You're missing out. And, but it totally makes sense. You know, like I've said, it's like perspective creates reality. And so how you're looking at things is what is the creation of your reality. It's all in how you approach things. It's how you look at things. And then you know, you can recognize and heal and recognize, you know, that these are toxic behaviors. This isn't just like a part of you. This is a part of you that you can change. As a matter of fact, that's what you're here doing. That's why it's standing out, is that's what you're supposed to be doing. And see, when I start talking like this kind of stuff, it's like way above what people understand. Like, honestly, it's like, will anybody ever be, I mean, I know that you guys, like the people who I talk to in the comments and stuff, I know y'all can listen to me and understand, but, you know, I mean, it's not a lot of people understand where I'm coming from. And healing it can be so self-directed when you're in touch with yourself. Like, it's something that you can master and improve your life, improve your lifestyle. And but you have to take, it's like you have to take ownership. You take control of the ride. You got to start, you know, thinking about what you are focused on. Thinking about how fast are you going? What are you feeding it? You know, it's like there's a lot of things where you got to just, everything to me is like slow down and pay attention. And so anyways, with hers, that she gets herself very closed off. And then I'm always talking like above her head. And so when she came back this last time, when she was in a crisis, you know, I'm like, okay, teenage crisis, teenage drama, boy drama, you know, it's like, this is an all new thing to her. But her crisis was much bigger. It was like all of her childhood that was being hidden all of a sudden was hitting her. And she was remembering all this painful stuff. But she doesn't trust anybody. But where has she been able to find anyone to trust? The system has engulfed her and had her have to protect herself and put up guard and stuff. I mean, you think about how many of these kids, they got judges, lawyers, counselors, all these people just in their ears. And, you know, but that's an improvement over their crazy mom. It's like having your crazy mom, you know, just as a natural way of you healing. Like it all goes together. This is a disruption in development that creates more chaos for the person to get over. Like it's a real lesson, you know, for the universe and stuff. Like it's real. Like it's to watch this stuff is crazy with all these kids. But there was one good thing, because I really thought every place was going to be all crowded, but this brand new place that they had just built, which is, you know, hoping that this is like a white hat thing. I don't know. I mean, I know that there's going to be a lot of these places. They know that there's all these kids. They know what is this, the system has failed them, because the system was trying to create, you know, depressed criminals, people who take medicine, people who, they need the fringe. If they don't have the fringe pushing on the acceptable society, the acceptable society doesn't know, it will fall too far off track. So they need this push of like, oh, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be homeless. I don't want to be on drugs. I don't want to be like them. You know, and they get all like snotty. So that keeps the people who want to stay in ego snot, that they keep them in line. And, you know, we're all guilty of it. All of us success driven, you know, get this and get that kind of mentality. There was always people we all looked down on. I mean, there has to be somebody you're standing on, right? So it's all things that we need to recognize in ourselves, our own biases, and how we look at other people and who we think are throwaway people. And but they create these throwaway people. And I am so sure that there is stuff. I just heard this thing this morning about this breakdown on fluoride, and it was like, there's no motherfucking way that they just learned all this shit in 30 or 40 years. This is shit that they did in another reset. Their stuff is so extreme, like, in how we were under such attack in the physicality part of us with the chemicals and the nonstop, like all the fluoride that I've had in my mouth, the mercury, the all this bullshit. Even these goddamn plastic things on my chest, even though I was so stupid to go and put them in and be insecure, it's so toxic. And even all this tattoo ink now, I keep seeing things about that. It's got all sorts of fucking junk in it. And so it's no wonder I feel like shit. And I drank all that motherfucking Sweet and Low for goddamn decades, I think. I swear to God. And so, you know, whatever is in there that gets inflamed, it causes pain. And then plus the dumping on us constantly, giving us more and more parasite, like everything they can. Because it's just they try and get the larvae in us so they can draw. And you shouldn't be able to see the air and stuff. It's dense. It's carrying stuff. So, and then we breathe it in. And then everybody gets sick because you are breathing in a whole bunch of toxins and foreign bodies. It's something that doesn't belong. So then your body starts reacting to try and get them out. So anyways, I'll go back to this girl, the situation. And so when she had come this time, she seemed, you know, more motivated. I was like, well, you know, when you come here, you've got to work on yourself. This is about healing. That's what, you know, my house is all about. You know, it's like a certain energy. And I can see now why people who are in crisis are drawn to me. Is it's energy, you know, I can see. And so anyways, you know, she was like, yeah, I've got making myself a schedule, and, you know, and she's just got to come now. And she kept crying and not saying anything. But I kept thinking, well, she's got all these people around. Because even though this kid's house, there's all these, they're older kids, have people that, like, it's just wild. And it's not structured. All these places that she's gone, there's no structure. And when she was at my daughter's house, you know, she could not stand structure. And she would fight all the time. And I would tell my daughter, just stop. You don't need to make all these rules. And, I mean, this is like, you know, it's like going to the pound and getting a puppy that's been punched and kicked and starved and everything that could go wrong with this puppy. And then you're bringing them in the house and thinking that they're going to have good behavior. And, you know, I mean, her mom, was doing drugs with her when she was a little kid. So, like, that's right there is going to cause developmental delays and stuff like that. But even there's just a, I hate to say, because there are some kids that needed to be removed from houses. There's some people who are so messed up, but that is where we can change and become more of a village, more of a community, more of where people are connected, where when people are having a bad day, they have someone to turn to and say, but we're going towards a time where we're not going to have all these bad days. But there was different ways, like where things used to work, where you did have a grandma or an uncle or somebody that would come in and help and pick up the pieces for you. So you weren't always alone. You weren't always falling apart. and and there's more, they try and get us to be policed, but really a society, look at who is really in control. How is society, the masses, they really have the control of acceptance and rejection. And so in a community, if somebody is just way out there, they'll just be rejected, and to the point where they won't fit in and they would have to go. And so certain behaviors and stuff become unacceptable. So there is, it's like a changing, we're in this like changing of the guards. Things are changing, like what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. But there was just other ways to do it to make a more firm foundation and community, rather than for police to come in and rip kids out of homes and tell them that something's wrong with them and stuff. Like I just know, so many people who weren't removed from their homes, who were raised in very toxic households. And it's like it's their obstacles to get over in life, to grow from. But it is, I don't know. I just see so much now of the importance of the development of a child during these key years of having stability, even if it's an unstable stability, to have a structured environment, to learn some sort of rules. Even though, like at my house, there was like rules and stuff there, but I grew, I didn't know what boundaries were. I didn't know, you could like even, when my dad would come and try and assault me or something, and I'd start kicking him and hitting him and run. And so, like, I was like that. Like I said, I was like some feral, but I was, I didn't know. I don't know. Because I feel like I knew boundaries. Like I would tell people, like I wasn't a secret keeper. I would tell people. And that also just made me into a weirdo, because people didn't tell people anything. They didn't tell secrets. They didn't say things. And, that was unacceptable. And so that just made me another, notch on weirdo. So, anyways, I'm going to go back. I keep having to circle back to... So, but when she had come, so I'm very much about, it's healing is you got to do it. You got to hit to where you hit rock bottom, where there's nowhere else to go but save yourself. And that's what's going on the planet. And so everybody is hitting something where it's like, and so many people, reach out, oh, someone help me, someone save me and stuff. And it's like, you got to be reaching out to the universe and seeing, like, why is this happening? What is this? What am I supposed to be doing here? What am I supposed to be learning here? And people are always just, they think money's the answer. And, but even in the spiritual community that's so focused on money and stuff, it's like, that is your trap. Like, you got yourself in this trap. And so okay, I'm going back over here again. So, okay, so she came and I was established, like the rules or whatever, but as she started, I was like going into full-on crisis. And I worked as a psych nurse in crisis centers, but this is, for one thing, it's not what I want to do. And for another thing, it is like it's counterproductive to really healing. You have to get through the stuff. You have to power through and, figure out how to lift yourself, figure out how to release things. Like there's a process through healing and healing yourself. And, but what I found is not everybody is to that place at all. And I didn't, I would keep saying my same stuff. And, like self-help books help me. Journaling is really good, helps you get your feelings out. You got to get out, and take care of yourself. You got to get out and move around and do things. You got to get your creativity going and stuff. But, when somebody's not there, you can't push them and force them. So I kept just letting her, find her own way. But it would be the interactions started becoming worse and worse. Like it was just, she was going further into crisis and then becoming very paranoid about the things I would say. She would get confused. She would change them. And it would just be very and I'm like, I'm not saying that. I don't know. And this has nothing to do with me. Like, this is your stuff. You don't have to talk to me about it. You don't have to ask me anything, especially if it's messing with your mind. Just, and I'm not sure because she is the one who kept coming out saying she needed to go to the hospital. She couldn't sleep. She needs a doctor. She needs medicine. And that's another thing is that they've got these kids really dependent on medicine. So dependent. Like, you try and talk to them and tell them, like, oh, well, you can do this without it. It's just like Charlie Brown's mom talking. It's just wah, 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 wah. And then she has even said, sometimes I just don't listen. And that is where, some of these kids get called like autistic and stuff like that. But they're in their own heads. They're deep in there. And so she, and deep in there in pain and suffering, man. Deep in there like a fucking prison. It's like a prison and it's a nightmare. And the whole world is out to get you. And that's all you can see. And you're creating these stories for yourself. You're even sabotaging things. What you don't want to happen, you make sure it happens. It's like I'm watching this occur. This isn't just like made up. This isn't like, well, maybe, I think, well, you can manifest this, you manifest that, you need $1 million over there. No, this is like real shit. Like, I'm watching this happen. And I've learned through this too, over the past few years of watching this, because this is just another one, is that not just the people manifest, like that it's like they direct the energy into having things happen that they don't want to happen, like their fears. And but they move things to go because it is another way to confirm to themselves, that they're not worthy. It's crazy, but it's the person who's doing this stuff. And but then you can take it to the level of, well, then there's a acceptable societal norm of behaviors, which there is an acceptable norm of behaviors. And that is kind of what you learn as a kid in development, parameters. But but also we need to not be judgmental of people who when people don't fit in, and recognize, where their traps are. It's not like something's wrong with them, but something's wrong with them. But it's not like what we have looked at it in the past, like reject and, like the only way to be was this acceptable societal range. And we got to see, no, like I was one of those people who didn't fit into the societal range, and I was always on the outskirts. I was always some weirdo over here. I was always a fringe person where it's like, oh, don't listen, not like her. And so it is it's just so weird too, as I'll have certain situations where I don't know, there's a lot of times where my behavior would be misinterpreted because people would think, well, she's full of herself, so she's acting that way because she thinks she's so great. She thinks she's so hot or something. It's like, no, I just don't give a shit about, because I'm just way more of a goof. I just don't. It's just weird when you get a flash of that in your head. And so anyways, so the people, so when she was coming out, and she kept saying that she needed to go to a hospital, or she needed something. And I'm like, well, that's good. You need to recognize, like, you can't get everything. I mean, for me especially, is very independent. You got to notice what you need. And if I'm overwhelming you, you need to be around people who are like at your level, so they can talk to you, so they can help you get out of this trap. But see, you say stuff like that and people take it so different than how you're meaning it. And everybody's going to take it on the level of their understanding. But there's all different ways to look at everything that you say. And, but the people who are taking, it's like, they're going to take what it is they need to complete their story. And so it's, it's crazy, because there's just, I think, words, like, I think that they even created this language to cause conflict, and because there's a whole thing about spells and the way they do the words, and because really it's about the tones. And it's weird even when you hear different cultures talk, and then like our tone in America, I think it is kind of more even like, I think America was created to just be so low vibration, so chasing your tail, so artificial, so superficial. How much poison can they take? Like, it's built on that. And then plus, I mean, because see, our infrastructure is falling down around us. It's, they did not build a good habitat. It was more of a experiment on us. And so and it's always, I think, for their next reset. I think they were hoping to get their droid people, but they lose. It's like their time is up. It's the universe is like, okay, we're done with that story. We're going to a different one. That's been played out. And so, anyways, so she was coming out and saying that she was in a crisis. And so then I would say, okay, well, then let's call a place. And it would become frustrating to me, is because she would just get lost. She'd get lost. And she couldn't talk, and she couldn't communicate. And then she become physical against her own self. And then, and I was like, this is overwhelming. This is way beyond my, like, she needs, I could recognize, like, she needs help. Like, she needs something. And, but then she would get real paranoid, and she wouldn't want to go. And I don't know all the things. I think one of them was she kept thinking she wouldn't be able to get out, that she was going to be stuck there. And she kept thinking I was going to not let her come back. And so then finally that morning when she went, and I'm not sure, because I'm not living inside of her head, I don't know all the processes of what she was going through. But she was very, very nervous. She was scared. I mean, at one point, she looked up at me, these beautiful, beautiful, she's got really dark, dark hair and these beautiful snow white blue eyes, like, and she looked at me. Oh, it's going to make me cry. Because I can feel her pain. Anytime I, like, think, I can feel her pain. I can feel what she's feeling. And when she looked up at me, and her eyes, these, I'd been crying and crying. And so they're really blue and sparkly. And she said, please come back and get me. It's like this kid who's been so, God, society is harsh. So harsh. Fuck. So, but this place is really, really nice. It's brand new. The staff is all excited, but, they have to do a Dovik test in order to get in. And I was like, well, she's been in her room for a month, so I know she's not sick. And she hadn't been on drugs or anything, so she passed the drug, all the initiation of the stuff to get in. And so, you know, and then she looks at me and says that. It was heartbreaking. I was like, yes, of course, I'm going to come back and get you. Your room will be there. Everything will be fine. Don't stress. Just get in here and work through your crisis. Talk to the counselors. You know, talk to them about what you're going through so that they can help you. And they'll help you get set up with resources and doctors and stuff like that. And then it was right away the next day, she wanted out of there. It's like for weeks you've been saying you need to go to a place, and you finally get in one, and then it's like right away she's getting out. So then I'm like, she wants out. And so then I think, are they kicking her out? Well, they're like, well, we can't hold her. And so I wasn't realizing my own, you know, that I had to put up a wall there and say, no, you have to stay. You know, I had to draw a line in the sand. And so that when I was kind of overwhelmed by all the stuff that was happening when they called and they put me on this 3-way call and stuff. It's weird because it's like, you know, I'm not even a family member. I'm somebody who doesn't really know this person. I don't know that much about their history or anything. I just had these interactions where she's always in a really dark place. Like the amount of dark energy that this girl carries is crazy. And I'm sure she's so trapped in there. I'm sure they have her trapped. And they just feed the negative. Oh, it's, you know, it's like unbearable. It's unbearable to watch. And I'll keep telling her, you got to let go. You got to stop those voices. You got to stop listening to them. You got to not listen to the dark energy. It will keep you trapped. It will keep you isolated and keep you in pain and suffering. And so when they called and said, you know, she was going to leave, and I was just like, what in the hell, you know? You haven't even been there 24 hours and you want to leave. And so I'm thinking, okay, she's paranoid. You know, she thinks that she's going to lose her room. I'm going to kick her out because this has happened to her before. And it's like she's never been able to get any stability. And I was like, you know, I kept telling her, no, but you got, like, there's certain things you can't be losing it and freaking out in the house and stuff. You have to manage yourself. You have to take control of, you know, your demons and stuff. But see, I talk on a level that people don't understand. And because I don't say demons, oh my God, I'm always like, it's not demons, because people think like you've got all these demons. It's like, that's a fucking created entity. And this one lady who is, you know, up with Lucifer, Lord Lucifer, she is now, you know, talking about her intimate interactions and him touching her and scratching her and stuff. It's like, dude, like, you people, like what the fuck? I'm telling you, spiritual psychosis is real. So, so, and I think it has to do with schizophrenia anyways. So it's just where people, like, they get freaked out of their own mind. It's like, I think there's a lot of people freaked out by their own mind. And so, overnight, you know, I was very deep into, you know, talking with my guys and stuff and thinking, you know, about what it is I want. And, you know, I'm trying to look at it from as many perspectives as I could. And, you know, and my overall thought, or what I felt was the right thing, was to be true to myself. And I do not want to go through, you know, someone else's anger and someone else's mental problems. You know, I want to be around people who are healthy, who take responsibility for themselves. And, you know, I can reflect that in myself, and I can put up boundaries and stuff. But it's exhausting when somebody is constantly pushing. It's like, I don't want to deal with that. And so then, you know, it was something that I felt firm about. And I had said to her, you know, there's certain boundaries. And that's the kind of stuff where I feel like you learn in development as a kid. Like, no matter what, you get a structure on your behavior. And, some of these kids, they haven't got that. So they'll be like 18-year-olds, but they'll act like they're 8 or 10-year-olds. And it's because, I think it has to do with when they were removed. And the same thing is like an alcoholic. When they quit drinking, that they go back to the maturity level of when they started drinking, because they didn't grow, they didn't emotionally evolve through that time, because they just turned to alcohol to hide from their emotions. Same thing with these device kids who were on devices. Something bothered them, they just go mind meld into a device, and they didn't emotionally evolve. They didn't. And so we're going to see a lot of these different things, like, the system kids. There's a lot of different things that kids are going through that are real. And it's not like, that they did it to themselves. But it's a part of what they came to show, to teach us, to represent, so that we could see what's wrong in society, what we have to change. And so it's all, powerful stuff. And yeah, because I wanted to say about that guy. So the guy who the girl had taken his image and made the Tumblr. I don't think he's super, super famous. I think he may be more of an independent musician. I think he's an independent country musician or something. Because he came out and he said, I don't care about, because he already came out and did a response. He said, and there was all these people freaking out when they had seen her video, because they're all doing it. And this one girl, I didn't even listen to her whole video, because she was like, well, hopefully he's going to say something to her and let go. But, I don't think Taylor Swift would ever do that. It's like, you guys, these people's images are owned. It's not up to these people. If their image is owned and copywritten by the people who own their contracts, that's who you're fighting. You're not fighting. Taylor Swift is no longer Taylor Swift. She's not the little girl she was. She's now, an owned entity, an owned corporation or something. I don't know how they do it, but anyways, this guy, he came out and he said stuff where it made me think, like, he's more like Anthony Oliver. He turned down contracts and said, my music will get me where I want to go or something. And so he told her, not to pay the money. He is making his own Tumblr, and all of the money that for his Tumblr goes to her and her family. I think he gave her some other money and stuff. He did a really, all this really nice stuff, like what you would expect in a good world. So to see, because all these things are going, but it's like, it's really cool to see where the light is stepping in and making these changes, and, going against the judicial, going against the corporate overlords and the control of us, and because they have a lot of trappings, copyright laws and shit, and all these people who are out there trying to, make it in a small business or try and start and don't know all these rules and these laws, and they're getting them used against them. So they have to have these cases to catch people's attention, so people start understanding what's going on. But anyways, that one was a good turnout, because it makes him look like a right, proper gentleman, and to be caring as a human and stuff. So anyways, it was really positive, and so many people were like, oh, that's so sad, because, she's sitting here struggling. It's only, she's, $350 off of this. It's not like she's getting rich off of anything. And she's barely making it. So anyways, he was trying to do some positive things for her, and that really got people. I think that kind of stuff gets people excited too, that there's kind people in the world, and to remind them that there's people who have more money than us, and they're still kind too. Not all the people are, there's just as many people who are poor who are don't care about people, that would throw anybody under the bus. So it's at all different levels. And, there's people who are kind and caring who have money too. So anyways, I thought that was a really cool turnaround of events. So that's exciting. But so anyways, so she went into the place, and she wanted to come right back. And it was overwhelming to me, and I had to sit there and really process through and really come to what I wanted to do, come to terms with my decision. As when you are setting a strong boundary for yourself, you do. It's like you have to like talk yourself into it or something, like you deserve it, it's okay, don't feel bad, don't feel and then to recognize all these interactions aren't just, so I can come out and be the hero. No, some of them are, brief encounters for the things that you learn when you have this encounter with this person. And you don't, there's a lot of things that, you don't know. It could be 10 years from now, and something I said all of a sudden comes to her, and it all of a sudden has context and makes sense. And so you just don't know how you're affecting people, but everybody has effect on people. But it's important to set your boundaries and know what you want, know yourself, and then to be comfortable with thinking you deserve boundaries. So I've been thinking all night, like, I don't want to become consumed by someone else's mental health problems, and having to rush them over to this appointment, take them over here. Like that, I'm losing myself, and they're becoming more dependent on me, which is not making them go into independence. They're just shifting dependency onto me, and then being mad at me when I can't fulfill what they need. And as a spiritual person who talks about healing and stuff, like, I can see everything wrong with that scenario. It's like, okay, this is not a scenario that's positive at all. And so I had decided that I was going to, the next day when she was going to call and she was going to say, for me to come get her, I was going to say, you have to stay the 5 days. You have to stay, because they were even saying that for her not to leave. And she's refusing, but it's all, it was all involuntary. It was voluntary. So she could say, well, I'm not staying. And they could say, okay. And they didn't have any reason not to, because she hadn't been pushed. And I knew it was going to push her as soon as I said, because that would feed back to that panic of like, please come back and get me. And feeling like that she was going to be trapped there. And, and I could see why. I think I've always thought she's super, she could like read minds. Like, I know she could see the future. She could see things. And I think she knew what was to come. I think she knew in her heart how bad she was doing, and she didn't want people to see. And she knew if she got in certain environments that it would come out of her hands. And so when it was a different nurse who called me yesterday to talk, and I think that they still put me on the three-way, the speakerphone, so she could hear what I was saying. And I said, well, I'm not coming to get her until Saturday. And, she has to have her 5 days. They told me Saturday was her 5th day, that would be when she would discharge. And I said, okay, well, I'm not coming until she does all those days. She has got to, she's wanting to go to a crisis place. So she's got to at least stay for the days and work through her stuff, not just hurry up and leave. And I said, and also, I need to know what other services are there. Are there places for these kids like that they can go, where it's like a group home, where there's structure, where she can be in town to get to her appointments so that she can become more independent? Because out here in the country, it's very difficult. There's not jobs. Yeah, you have to ride the bus for like 2 hours. Otherwise, I've got to dedicate all my day to run around and taking her to her appointments, and then it falls on me. Like, I can help her, I can rescue her, and that's not the way life really is. And everything is about self-help, self-regulate, it's a mastery of self. And so, and I understand that on a level that a lot of people don't understand, which again makes me seem like some sort of wackadoo. But so, she obviously, because the woman was explaining to me about it, sounded super cool, where these kids can go in, or I think young adults can go in to this program, and they live like in a group kind of home setting, and they have structured like meal times and stuff, like a family. Like, this is what they need. Like, I don't have structured meal times and shit. And so they have like a family kind of setting where you have structure, and then you have a more independence. Like, jobs are close by if you want to get a job. Your appointments are close to buses and everything. So, and walking and being around other people. Like, out here, you're out and there's, it's real easy to get yourself super isolated, and which to me is good when you're trying to heal. But when you are in this other trapped mind place, it is, you're getting further and further into the trap. And so, and then some people get lost in there. They can't find their way out. And I try and tell her, you're in a dark hole. You got to figure your way out of there. You got to, start digging, make the hole bigger or something. Get out of it. Figure out how to get out of this hole. And I would give her different ways of seeing things and looking at things. But, like I said, it would just overwhelm her. And so at some point, I kept pulling back because she would come out and say stuff, and it would be so twisted. And so, and they said, so this program that you could go into it has this structured part, and then it has apartments. So then, she can move into an apartment and become even more independent. So see, it gives them a chance, an opportunity with structure to be able to grow into independence, which is, to me, is like, fuck, that's what she needs. Being out here in the country with some weird old lady who doesn't believe in medicine and doesn't need all of the stuff that these people need. I don't need all of these things that people think that they need from society anymore. It's like, I grew out of it. And so, but people come out here, like my daughter, when she was here, she would think I was just so strange. Well, we need to go do something. We need to go do something. It's like, I don't need to go do anything. I don't need that. I don't need to find something. I don't need that. And, sometimes I do look for some sort of mind entertainment. It's more like nostalgia to me. Like, oh, I really want to watch an old Frankenstein movie, and I'll feel more nostalgic. Sometimes I'll start craving like cheeseburgers from back when I was a little kid, and going to Smacks and getting a cheeseburger and a root beer. It's like, gosh, I'd like to go back to that and experience that again. But I'm not going to go get a cheeseburger and a root beer because, tell them what the fuck. I feel bad feeding my dogs this meat. Like, I really have no idea what the fuck they're eating. It seems like it's either, it smells weird. The whole thing is weird. And sometimes she would want to eat it. And I would be like, oh, okay, yeah, go ahead. It's like, man, I don't know. I think that we're not smelling the same smell and stuff. Like, when you're still in the acceptable part, like, I think once you start seeing through the illusion, you start, noticing different smells or something. I don't know. It is different. I keep thinking that there's black here. So anyways, I was like, okay, well, that sounds like really cool. And they were saying, well, you have to go up there and be evaluated to get in, but that's where she has to go to be evaluated anyways, to get into counseling and all that, because that's where all that is. And I was like, okay, well, we have to go there anyways. So, I'll just, if she comes after this 5 days and she still needs more, then we'll have to go to that route. That's what we'll have to do. And so, but I knew any of the stuff I'm saying, if she could hear me, that she was taking it very different. She was taking it as rejection. You're not good. You're out. I can't stand you. I hate you. All this, what she was hearing was different than what the conversation was. That's why I say is people can be very trapped in their own illusion, what they're feeding. It's like you're feeding the parasites. You're feeding the dark energy, because it's what the dark energy wants. That's why you got to power through and get rid of the dark energy. And to me, it's the micro, macro with all this stuff with the parasites. It's like, so you got to get that dark energy off of you. And, and especially like a kid who's been in the system and you are in such a toxic environment so often. And if you've been in and out of some of these places, you're just taking more and more dark energy. Like, they have a lot of dark energy to work through. That's why people start thinking that they're mentally ill and crazy and stuff. Some of them start talking to him. Like, I talk to the other people all the time. I talk to the dark energy. I talk to the fuck off. Step out. So, anyways, and I'm not, I mean, by some social standards, I am very crazy, I guess. So I just know, like, I'm just living a different world, and I know that it's a different world that is real. So it's really kind of tripping me out, too, is you have so many people out there that are so sure about what's going to happen, and it's different than what I think is going to happen. And, we'll just see, because to me, I feel certain about what I see, and all these other people feel certain about what they see. So we'll just see as things play out. I know that as things have been playing out, it's all stuff what I had seen. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But anyways, so when she heard that, or maybe she just heard the other nurses part of the conversation, and she thought she was being rejected again, that sent her into crisis in front of them. So then they got to see what happens to her, because she wants to bring that back here to private, where I'm the safe space where she can do that. It's like, dude, this is not, no, I can't handle this. No, I don't know. This is not how I want to live. And but there's sometimes where people can't rationally do something just because you say no. They still go to their behavior. And if they're losing it and they don't know how to get control, then they just still go into losing it. And here, they could put her on medication and stuff. And so that's, I got another call then later in the afternoon, and that is, now she's non-voluntary, like, they're not letting her be voluntary anymore, and they're moving her. And so it's like her worst nightmare. It's because it's gonna make me cry. Because it's her worst nightmare. The worst case scenario. And to me, as the observer, it's like, but dude, this is the best thing that could ever happen. Like, she needs this so bad, and she doesn't see what she needs, but she needs this more invasive. She needs these counselors, and she may need this medication and stuff. Once she had gotten a little and she could feel calm, it'd be back here, but then it would be, as soon as she had a trigger, she would be losing it. And when you're in your own prison mind, you're manufacturing triggers. Nothing has to happen. You sit in your room by yourself and be triggered. Like, they are manufacturing triggers. Is like they're in their own hell. And so no matter what I would do or say, I couldn't help her break out. It was only overwhelming her more. And so I knew she needed this structure. I just feel so excited for her that she's going to get that, because to me, it's just like they just want to toss these kids aside and just leave them out there. And where I felt like, oh my gosh, they're actually going to try and help her. And this guy who was calling, I think he's one of the people who decides, he said he was going to call today and stuff, but they were going to be moving her and getting her stable and moving her to more of a long-term place, because they could see, she needs some serious help. Like, she's not going to make it if she doesn't get this help. And I know that this is like her worst nightmare, and she's feeling so horrible and traumatized, but those feelings are what need to come to the surface. If she can get those feelings to the surface and have them be around a counselor, professionals that are going to call her out and help her walk through it, because the level of how I look at things is not where she was. And so they may be, they are dealing with a lot of these kind of situations. They will be able to help her, I think, a lot more. But also, a person has to be receptive to help. And that's a whole process. And so, it's definitely one of those things is like, You have to want to save yourself. You have to be able to put in the work. You cannot be putting it off on other people. Like the universe, the energy, the change, the reset, all of that is not going to allow things to be the same. Things have to change. And you are you are the all things. You are, I have a whole bunch of things coming into my mind, but it's, you are the all. You are the everything. You are the one who has to make the changes. You're the one who has to do the work. Nobody can do it for you. Even if you find somebody to anchor onto that makes you feel better, you can't get away from yourself. It won't stop communicating. It's trying to push you to go in a different direction. And, but people, I think, block. They don't want to face things. They don't want to think about things. And, and it's hard. And everybody's got their own pain, their own guilt, their own shame, their own, the things that they are hiding from. But you got to face those things. And you don't have to tell people. You don't have to go around and tell people what you feel bad about. You can, but you processing it and seeing. And to me, a big part of it is when you are, when you come out of a toxic household and you have just developed to the toxicity you were raised in, and then you go out in the world, and you do things and hurt people's feelings and stuff like that, and then you feel like you're so broken and so hollow, and there's, that you're the problem. And you've got to, it is a part of it to me is going back into your past to forgive the past, to start seeing you're not broken. You were in a scenario. You were playing a scenario. I mean, on the spiritual level, you're playing out a scenario that you're here to grow from. And it has to do with all these other cosmic bonds to other lives and stuff. So it all is a part of your whole entire soul's journey, not just this life experience. And so it all has a significant impact on the being. But going through the life and not doing work, like that's one thing where a lot of people go through a lot of lives and don't do the work in the life. And it's like a recidivism, coming back and coming back and coming back. So confirmation. So anyways, and then you can go on all these different levels too. Like, oh, well, I think I know what's best or whatever. That's why you got to go back to self, to your boundaries, and be like, well, what is best for me? What is it I truly want? And I don't want to be someone's crutch. I don't want to be someone's doormat. I don't want to be someone's taxi. I am there for people who want to work towards independence and taking responsibility for themselves and stuff. And when somebody isn't there yet, that they have more work to do. And, I could see, she's very trapped in her pain and suffering. And she's very trapped in her guilt and hating herself. Like she hates herself. You can't, when you ask somebody, everybody needs to ask themselves this, because I was asked a long, long time ago, and it can throw you. But I think when I heard it the first time, they said, I think it was a counselor, and they said, can you tell me 5 good things about you? 5 things about you that you like. And, I was like, I don't think I could. I don't think I could come up with one at this time. And I would say maybe I was around 30 or 35 or years old or something. And, and she's young. And so I asked her, and she couldn't come up with any. It's like, you gotta find the things that you like about yourself. But see, if I'm putting more pressure on someone by saying that, because they need to find their way out of the dark hole they're in. Like, I don't know. And she couldn't communicate and say what she needs, because she's closed herself off. She doesn't trust. And so she feels it's just important to recognize that what you do to protect yourself. and that it's not the world doing this stuff to you, it's you doing it to you. And then you putting up guards and stuff, and putting up guards where they're not necessarily needed, but you are used to it because you're living in your old pain and your old fear that this is going to happen again, this is going to happen again. And then to create the scenario so it does happen again. Like, I'm not going to go take her room down or anything. Like, she could, come back in a few months or something. But it seems like to me, she's going in a different direction. I would think that they would, get her to a better place and then put her into these programs where it does start getting them develop into a direction of being able to go out and function in society, not, close themselves off and hide and, and play it safe, because you're not playing it safe. Your soul is angry. That's not what your soul wants you to do. Your soul wants you to take risks. Your soul wants you to be authentic. Your soul wants you to be vulnerable. Your soul wants you to let go of things that don't matter. Let go of all these old scenarios and stuff. Learn that everybody is going through the same kind of stuff. If people aren't hurting you on purpose, and that's where you can learn how to be forgiving. Forgive the people who have hurt you. And that releases, it lets, letting go of things is, that's what raises your vibration, is letting go of things. Because otherwise you're holding on. I mean, the more you hold on to, the more heavy, the more burdens you carry, the more dark energy that is on you. So yeah, letting go, letting go, letting go. It is like you're letting go of dark energy, you're letting go of pain, you're letting go of burdens, and you are just healing and feeling better throughout the whole experience. Oh, and I just saw this young girl. So she was young. She's 32, and she wanted to put this out there to other young girls. So I will pass this on. So she, when she was like 14, I guess her face was breaking out. And so she started putting oil. And so what she started saying was about oil and water and how they go against each other, that we shouldn't be washing our faces. We need to put oil, and oil, I don't know. I wasn't listening to the whole thing. I space out all the time. This is what got me in trouble in school. And so, but something about use the oil. And so she has been using castor oil. She had 3 different oils. She used that jojoba oil, castor oil, and one other one. Can't remember. But there's so many different oils, And so she's been using them ever since. Her face cleared up, and now she has no wrinkles. Her face is, she said people always are commenting on her skin, and all she's ever used is these oils on her skin. She don't wash her face or anything. And that's another thing too that I stopped doing, was washing my face all the time. I used to wash my face, I don't know, once a day. I used to use those scrubs on my face. And so now I just put oil all the time. I just put oil, and the oil pulls out the grime itself or something. And so it's all a natural thing, but it's important to keep your body coated, like what I was saying before, like with the hair. And like we have natural coatings on our body. And so I don't know if she was saying something about when the oil's coming out of your skin, you put more oil on it. That will pull it out rather than, or will go in and coat it so it calms down or whatever, rather than putting water. She said all you're doing is washing the toxins back into your pores. And so it's not good for you. I don't know all that stuff. I just know that she was saying that she had just been using castor oil for that long on her skin, and how good her skin looked, and that she was trying to get all the other young girls to know, because it's so much cheaper too. She said a bottle, of $15 bottle, I put mine on all the time, so I go through it. I don't know, a bottle could last me like 6 months or something. She said a bottle could last her 4 years. But I use it a lot. I put it on Stella. I use castor oil for everything. But I did notice that the castor oil my mom had, that she had from the 70s, that she still had this bottle of castor oil. That castor oil is pure fucking shit. Like, I couldn't believe that stuff. And when I cut myself at her house, I put that on it. I used that stuff for a few different things there, and it was like magic. So I think even the castor oil we have now is really simmered down to the effects that, like, I wish I could go back and get old castor oil from the 70s. And even back when my mom was a kid, they had to drink it. She said every day you had to get up and drink a spoonful of castor oil on the farms. That's, and she said that they would always say, here, take your medicine. And then you'd have to drink a spoonful of castor oil. And it would keep you regular. And obviously it would keep you healthy from the inside. And they knew the benefits of it back then. It's weird how now, we have to go through all this to find the benefits of it. And then they've, spoiled it, or, just the same thing as like what they're doing to the apple cider vinegar and Katy Perry and Gates and all this bullshit. So anyways, it's kind of been a rough night anyways. So let me think. So anyways, now though, I'll have my house back to myself for, I don't know, who even knows? Like, the house could fucking be flooded. There's so many different things with the storms and stuff going on. And every time I see Duran's videos pop up, he is by some kind of scene. There's all malarkey. There's all sorts of cops. There's all sorts of stuff. To the point where people, like yesterday, I saw him and he was out once, right as he came by, he was all these cops and stuff, and people in the comments were saying something, and he goes, oh, I don't know what happened, maybe somebody got hit or something. It's like, he's not even concerned anymore. Let's just get to the next one. There's so much, this is probably non-stop malarkey, as I see every time, and he's on a video, there's a shit ton of police and stuff, there's a shit ton of stuff going on, arrests, got all sorts of things happening. And the cities are just going to get worse and worse. And now they're putting out a part 2 to that movie. Is all these people were like, well, what's next? What are they saying is going to happen from all this? Well, they had already said what was going to happen. I think in the conversation with Kevin Bacon and the other guy, I can't think of his name. And so that they talked about was going to be civil war, like they were creating. I think even when the one rich guy was talking to Ethan Hawke, I should know the other guy's name. I know these two guys' names. So when he was talking to Ethan Hawke, that they were saying about the Civil War and stuff, that they're trying to get the people to go against each other. And that had to do with them dropping all of these pamphlets out of the sky. Some were in some kind of Middle Eastern writing, some were in Korean writing. Like, they're just getting that, so it just makes people tense. It makes people not trust each other. It makes people start fighting against each other. Then they have these instigators and this constant creation of chaos. You have these people who are on the wrong side and don't even realize it. Like, you're bringing this war right into our streets, and you guys are fucking walking them in. Like, y'all just arm in arm. Let's walk this war right into our streets. Like, come on, people, join in. It's like, oh, damn. So all of this chaos and stuff. So now part 2 is coming out. It's all about this Civil War. And that is, I think part of it is they know that this is going to happen. And that's what a part of 2024 will be. It will be this a reaction and overreaction for a lot of people. Like, I don't know, there could be people who are going to, fight in their own communities and not know who they're fighting against and stuff. There's going to be all different things playing out. There's so many different scenarios, so many crazy fucking shit. Like, God, yeah, man, there's crazy shit playing out. So, it's going to be more crazy shit, and all these different scenarios will play out. And it's supposed to be that way. Oh, yeah, and, so, Lucifer's lover, she just seems to be losing it, and people keep saying stuff to her, and she keeps saying that she's not losing it, but, dude, everybody is noticing, like, you seem to be losing it. And then, Bold Glamour, she's getting way more into the filter, more into, fixing her hair and everything, like, it's weird. It's like these people, you start thinking like you are the filter. You start just becoming a new persona, but then there's still this Sam Kinison edge over here. So and she's coming at things hard lately with a lot of ego, a lot of attitude. And I said, this is something that's going to really be coming, because that is when it flips. That's the part of these people need to see of themselves. And it's just wild how much of some of this stuff is public. But and that just makes me think, like, in another life, what are they bringing to a full circle for this kind of thing? But so yesterday she tried to, because she made this whole thing, well, I'm going to dumb it down for you people. And about this, one of the war scenarios that's going on, I think, between Russia and Ukraine. And so she's going to dumb it down and explain it. But then she kept saying the wrong thing. And so all the people kept pointing it out. And so, she did humble herself and laugh at herself and say, but I think if you really went in on her, she would get mad, because it would be reactive. Like, you're rejecting, because the people who are doing this stuff aren't healed yet. They just don't realize it. They're just stuck in how they're looking at things. They haven't seen the whole picture yet. And so they're just really reacting to one side of the coin, like I've said. So when the other side shows, that's when they feel the humility. Because it's like, oh my God, I was so divisive. I was so hateful. And so caught up in the rhetoric, and, so divisive on what color t-shirt you wear, and making fun of people. And so anyways, when you're doing that, and then you get called out on, especially when it's like, I'm going to dumb it down for you. And then you're saying it wrong the whole time. And so she went back and did another one to fix it or whatever. But, that's just what I'm seeing, is people just, I don't know, just going all in on these characters. But the character is going to, implode on them. And so this is, I don't know, it's going to be something to watch this, I'm telling you. But it's going to be there is going to be a lot of violence in the street. There's going to be a lot of people reacting as the truth is coming out, and their own truth, and their own violent tendencies, their own behaviors, like all these different things have to play out. It's like we got to let go of all this energy. It's got to play out so that we can move into the new energy. And so these things that are inside of people have to play out. And so we're going to, see all this stuff playing out. And there will be, I totally agree with Cliff when he said there's going to be doctors that are going to be hunted down by people. And there's, and then plus we got all these arrests and all these trials and stuff. And now that they've said that they're going to have it public, like it's going to be on film and stuff. They got a court order for that. Like, there's all these court orders going around. Like, in Hunter, like, and saying that shit. It's like, he's so much exposing stuff. Like, I don't see, and then people get frustrated. Well, it didn't go, he didn't show up, and this didn't happen. No, blah, blah, blah. It's because they're trying to create outrage. They're trying to get people's attention. They're trying to, because it's going to go. It's all going to go. But this is the big buildup to get the people who are, outraged. But it's really to get the people's attention. The people who are getting so outraged and stuff, see, they have stuff that they have to work on. And then when they see, and so many of them, they think like, I guess we're all, like, real bad things are all about to happen and stuff. Like, they're really scared. They're really paranoid. They're really living in fear. And so that all has to be revealed. It has to be shown. And people have to see this stuff for themselves. Because when you are living spiritually, then like, nothing can hurt you. You're here for the ride. You're here to experience this ride. And, you got to have a good attitude towards it. You got to be reflective. You got to think things through. And I hadn't realized how much boundaries and stuff have to do with it. How much you need boundaries to define yourself, to be able to say what's okay and what's not okay for you. You don't have to, set everybody else's boundaries. I think even as a mom, setting your boundaries is reflective so that the kid can learn how to set their own boundaries. So even, as a kid growing up, when you don't have any, it's because you came from a house where, my mom wasn't allowed boundaries, probably. She was that's probably why she hated her life so much back then, is she was so pushed and stuff. And then so many people in that age don't know about healing. They don't know about feeling better. I think the people who understand more about healing are people who were addicts and stuff, people who had to hit rock bottom, who had to pull themselves up out of the trenches and find their way back to living good, living happy, living clean. And that is, it's a journey. And a lot of people who just like chose the church and I don't know, whatever, looking for that acceptance of, well, we're all sinners, instead of healing your past, healing your sins, healing what bothers you, healing what you hold on to, just letting that eat you up inside and age you, and then just waiting for that moment for Jesus to release you from it. It's like you got to learn how to release yourself from it. You got to learn how to take responsibility for your own actions, for your own perspectives, and realize that you're here to learn from them. You're not need to shame yourself. How are you supposed to know something before you know it? You're growing, you're learning. So you're only holding yourself back if you live in a place of shame, always telling yourself that you should have done better, you should have known more, you should have been this way, you should have been that way, you could have done it this way, you could have done it that way. That is an endless pattern of defamation, bringing yourself down all the time, always putting yourself down. You get in these cycles of it, you're not good enough, you're not good enough. And that is another thing that's important, to not be judgmental of your parents, because if you think your parents are rotten pieces of shit, then where did you come from? So right away, you're going into the scenario of feeling like a rotten piece of shit. How can anything good come from these two people? But when you get into the understanding of these two people are here to teach me things, just like, my daughter coming into certain times to teach me boundaries. And it has all led up to, a scenario where, the old Kelly would have given everything, would have done anything to save somebody else. And I had myself in those trappings for years, carrying somebody in their pain, and it wears you out, and it can make you really mad. like I can see why people turn around and shoot, like, fuck off. It gets you into a state of mind where I don't want to be in that state of mind. I don't want to feel that. I don't want to feel the burden of someone else's pain. I want to feel like I want to be around people who enjoy life, who take responsibility for their own attitude, take responsibility for their own behavior, that are reflective, that do spend time thinking about like what they do and how they affect others. Man, that was a scratch, man. Hold on. I felt like something scratched deep in my throat. Oh, fucking Lord. I swear, you can't get yourself. Listen to these people. And they start these communications, letting these things touch them. And it's like, you're getting, I don't know. There's so many things. It's like, we're going to see a lot of stuff play out here soon. And today is the 14th. So today is supposed to be where there's supposed to be stuff with the BRICS nation. And now they have it where Mexico. Mexico is signing. China's already on it. Mexico is signing on for 2024. So see, this is all just the collapsing. This is just the drama to collapse it here. But it's still going to lead to a lot of intense scenarios. And I don't think that the fighting where they're trying to, show that in the movie, the Civil War, well, we've got to see. We don't need to fight each other. We need to come together. Fighting each other is just, but there will be souls who are here to fight each other, and it will be the end of them, and they will go, and there'll be a lot of people who are going to leave in a lot of different ways. It's going to be the people who are left standing, the people who know the truth, the people who understand of what the age of Aquarius is all about, what their soul's doing here, and about the transition. And so, but there's a lot of people who are here to play out these other parts, this these scenarios and stuff. And that is what we see. That's the, what we watch. It's history. So that it's what creates all of this new state of being, this new way of living. And so all of the stuff that is going to play out, like, even though they want to promote it as like we're going to destroy ourselves in this civil war, it won't be like what's going to happen is supposed to happen. It's the way it was going to happen. It's set. And so it is like how we need to look at it and see our parts. And, hopefully a lot of people, see part 2 and go like, well, dang, I'm not going to do that. That's what I would think, because I still think it's like a more white hat, more light energy. And so I think that this part 2, I think it's supposed to be out in March or April or something. Who knows? I mean, the trailer is pretty long. Maybe just the trailer alone could get people to see like, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be reactive. We need to come together with our neighbors, not fight them. How is that going to be productive? I don't think it's going to necessarily be neighbor fighting against neighbor, but you also have scenarios where there's people who, shoot through their door. But so there's different things that have to play out. But I think it is going to be these shifts of people coming together. And that's another thing with storms. When storms happen, it brings people together. It brings communities together. And levels the playing field. People come together to help each other. And so, we got all those things going too. Like, I don't think that they were showing that in this. They just keep being about the fighting and stuff. But you do have all these people who are tense and divisive and blaming others. So there's this shift in society, and the universe is pushing towards that, but people push back. People don't want to, and all different levels too. They just don't know that they can feel better, and they're trapped in their own dark. Like, there's a whole bunch of different things. So you could go through list after list after list. But anyways, it is important to, define what it is that you are willing to do. And don't be doing things and thinking that you're doing something for somebody. Once you think you're doing something for somebody, and it's like, well, I didn't want to do this, I'm just doing it for them, then you got to stop yourself right there. You got to catch your own toxic attitude. Don't do stuff that you don't want to do. Then you're creating a setup. You're creating a scenario of disappointment and expectation. So you don't sit there and do things that you don't want to do. But you got to become defined in what it is you do want to do, what you're willing to put out there, who you are, what you're presenting. And you got to be comfortable with yourself and not be trying to use other people to make yourself feel better. And like, there's just a lot of different toxic ways. But it's important for you just to get your own boundaries, to define yourself. And then, and if you do put them up, to somebody, and then you feel like, oh, maybe that's a little harsh. Maybe, you can go scenario by scenario. You don't have to just have a set rule standard. You can go like, okay, well, I could shift a little here. I could give them a ride a couple times or whatever. You got to, come up with where you're comfortable. Don't do things like, unless you have come up with a contract or something with this person, and you've said, well, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to do it for you, just to please you. So that to make you happy. Unless you're going through all that and saying that, then don't do it. Because that is an unwritten contract, some scenario where you think this person owes you something. Well, that wasn't agreed upon. You made that contract up, and it wasn't fulfilled from the other side. It wasn't agreed upon. So you got to take responsibility. If you're going and doing shit you don't want to do, that comes on you. You can't blame others just because they wanted that. You're the one who went and turned around and did it. So You got to take responsibility for what you're doing, and then question yourself, why am I doing that? What am I doing it for? What am I trying to get? Who am I trying to get it from? What am I trying to fulfill? What need in me am I trying to fulfill? What am I trying to make feel better? And so many times, you're trying to use other people to make yourself feel better. And it's just super toxic. So, okay, let me think if there was something else. But I mean, when you're dealing with, like in my scenario, there's like, I feel pulled in a lot of different directions, but I've got to continue to pull back to me. And then to know, like, this is giving her best opportunity to get the help that she needs to get her on the right path, to be able to live productively, however it is that she wants to live, and to heal herself so that she can have better relationships. So, I'm just really, really hope the best for her. And I definitely am not turning my back on her, even though I'm sure that that's what she feels. But see, she needs to feel that in order to react to that, in order to purge that out of her. And I'm just hoping, that this is really help, that we really do have people out there who are, because the people who I had talked to, it seemed very 3D, nurses and stuff like that. But I don't know. I just know that they were going to be putting up a lot of different healing centers and stuff. So, and this place was brand new. And hopefully it was a place to help to get people into the right place. But I don't know. The system has failed so many people. So it's that the person, the inside person, has to be the one who, every case, every situation, you got to make the best of it. And when you are so in the dark, you got to find ways to turn on the light. You got to find ways to get out of the trap. And it's going through the dark and finding your path, finding your way. And it can be stumbly, but nobody can do it for you. Nobody can go inside of you and find your way out. Only you can do that. So, and we have to, have patience for people who are, but then again, we don't have, you can't carry someone else's pain. You can't fix someone else's pain. It is, the only way to feel better is to do the work, to make the deciding factor that you want to feel better, that you want to work towards feeling better, that you want to face your role that you play. And, I don't know how they've got people so trapped in the victim mentality and stuff, but everybody needs to look at it for themselves and see themselves. There's ways out of these holes. There's ways out of all of the darkness so that you can start to feel better. So, but everybody's got to want it and do it for themselves. So anyways, let me think if there was anything else. So the money thing can go today, which will start a lot of chaos with the banks and stuff, like another big crash. And they'll probably do it quick. I mean, there's so much stuff leading up to this, and there can be some more little things that will happen, who knows, but all of a sudden there will be something, some kind of a crash that will just start a whole domino effect of crash. And so, we just don't know what day, what is the circumstance or instance where this all happens. We're wading through the water, we're moving towards that, but we don't know what thing is going to happen. And what was that? Was there something else about the water or something? I saw this weird thing about fossils and how fossils were a lie and what fossils really are. And it just goes with the reset thing. It was an instantaneous thing that made fossils. It was like an instantaneous freeze or something where everything stopped and changed, and it was like a reset. And so let me think. It's like it's just hidden past realities, really, because everything is just different spaces of time of reality and different scenarios that have played out. So anyways, let me think if there was something else. So I don't know. I'm hoping, that this all starts, but like it's out of my hands. I definitely don't have all the answers, or, the universe knows what it's doing. Doesn't need me to step in and tell it. So, hopefully, I'm just always ready for things to start going the other direction. So, and I know all the signs are there. Everything is showing that we are turning in this other direction. And, there will be some abrupt changes. So anyways, I'm just excited about that part. I'm excited for things to start. Well, I know everything is already falling apart, but I'm excited for the money collapse. There's so many things. I'm just excited to see what's next, where we're going from here. And it's sad that there will be so many people who will be so cut off and so angry and fighting with each other and stuff. But that's, everybody's got their own dark holes to get out of. And, we'll see. We'll see how many people, because there's going to be people who are going to leave. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to be leaving during all these different scenarios that are going to be happening. So anyways, just we'll see what happens today and see what happens this weekend. But just keep in mind that these changes are going to happen. They're going to keep happening. Nothing's going backwards. We're going forwards, and we're headed towards a time of independence, a time of abundance, a time of unity, a time where love matters. It's not just a word. It's something that we actually feel and respond to. So anyways, the world's about to change. It's shedding its old skin, and the beauty that's underneath is going to be magnificent. So anyways, I'll go but so I should be, I don't think there's anything that she could do or say at this point that they would. I think that she's already gone involuntary, and it's sad because I know it's, her worst nightmare, and I'm sure that was her biggest fear. But that's another thing, is that we got to face our fears, and our fears are going to force themselves on us so that we can work through them, so we can see different. Like if she could go in and she could change her attitude and see for the first time, maybe, these people are here to help me. What can I get from them? What can I do? How can I participate in my healing? And change these scenarios to work for you. Don't keep working against your fears. Get them to work for you. So anyways, hopefully, I know to a lot of you guys that I make sense. It's weird to know that I don't make sense to a lot of other people. And it's also strange to think like, so there's going to be this mass awakening where all of a sudden I'm going to make sense to a lot of people. It's like, at this point, sometimes it's really hard to believe. It's really hard to believe. Because I feel like I talk and people are just like, what? And they just take things I say so different than how I mean them. So anyways, just, stay working on yourself and focus on, who it is that you're becoming and what you want to be in this world. And I will talk to you in the morning. As long as I have power, I'll be back. Bye.